Welcome to the Big Fella and Little Fella Cricket Show for this week. Little Fella, how was your weekend?
Good, big fella. How was yours?
Very good, mate. Plenty on from a cricket perspective. Plenty to talk about today. We're going to be talking about recent stuff, the Australian T20 series. A few bits and pieces have come out of that. We're also going to have a really exciting guest on in Nathan Ellis, the young Tasmanian. New South Welshman, now Tasmanian.
Tasmanian.
Going to be great to hear from Nathan. We're going to talk about our focus for the week, which is going to be a few bits and pieces that happen in futures or second 11 cricket.
Second 11, mate. Come on.
So it's very exciting. But we'll get stuck into the Australian T20 series now. We will start with the Pakistan series, mate, the T20 series. You promised a lot more. You said it was going to be exciting. You said it was going to be good. I said it was going to be, which it was. Let's face it. The most exciting one was the no result.
No, look, I actually think they were a lot better than Sri Lanka, and they gave us something to think about, especially in that second game. It was actually probably the first real challenge we've had. In the first game, you actually sit there and watch and go, okay, well, this could go either way at some point. But yeah, obviously the no result was pretty disappointing. But that just is what it is at this time of year, and the third game was just unfortunately back to the first three like Sri Lanka. So overall, we did see more from Pakistan, but probably not as much as I would have hoped going in, as much as the Australians would have hoped going in.
Did we take anything from the series at all?
I think we're a good T20 side. I think we do know that now.
Flat track bullies?
Yeah, potentially, but the World Cup's here, so that's okay.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, actually.
The only thing I'm disappointed with, I guess, the most is the fact that we didn't get to test our batting depth. I mean, Alex Carey batted at number 6 for the last 6 games and hasn't actually had a hit. And then Agar at 7. Well, we don't even know if that theory's really worked, playing the extra spinner as a bat. So the top order, great. It's great to see Davey Warner, Aaron Finch smoking them, and obviously Stevie Smith's just Steve Smith. But beyond that is a bit disappointing.
We'll touch on Steve Smith a bit later because he was doing some very Steve Smith sort of stuff. Look, the game in Perth was just a walkover. Great seeing Sean Abbott back in Australian colours. But yeah, once again, did we see anything? I mean, Stark, after you've given him a slight whack for going to his brother's wedding, a couple of peaches and a couple of balls.
Yeah, but he does that, doesn't he? It was good to see him back in there. I mean, look, obviously we experimented a little bit, but we've got a lot of the quicks are down at the moment. They're not up and running. So great opportunities for Kane Richardson, great opportunities for Sean Abbott to come in and play a role. And I think it is really important to have, as I said last week, some variation in your attack. And with Sean Abbott coming in, he hasn't played for 5 years. It does show we do have some really good depth and some really good options in our bowling stocks. I mean, Kane Richardson's an interesting one. He does add a bit more of the bat. But again, we didn't see that 6, 7, 8, 9. And I really would like to see that at some point in the near future. Jamie
Cox came out and said a bit of a likeness between, and for AFL people out there, a bit of a likeness between Kane Richardson and Brodie Grundy. Do you see it?
Yeah, you certainly can.
Sort of rolling with that Jesus look.
South Australian boy as well, Brodie Grundy. That's not a bad shout.
Yeah, just a weird one. Now, you touched on the 2 spinners. I mean, there's been a bit of talk that, hey, we've got 2 spinners in the team. It's going to work. A lot of the other nations, you think about some of the, I guess, less advanced cricketing nations, but we seem to see their spinners pop up at all the major T20 tournaments around the world. Talking Bangladesh, especially Bangladesh. We're talking even Afghanistan. They're playing multiple spinners. Australia, it seems like we've just glued onto this. And is Zampa and Agar going to work together in tandem?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I like that it's a right arm and a left arm. I mean, they both do spin the ball the same way. Obviously, left arm offie and a right arm leggy. Again, it's hard to tell. I mean, I would have liked to see, again, probably more from the batting perspective, would have liked to see how Agar went with the stick because he can bat.
Yeah. Well, what was his debut?
98.
98. It was a late night that night.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to bed as soon as he gets out.
Yeah,
it was a 4 a.m. Finish.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting, isn't it? I mean, because you can go the Maxwell path or Ashton Turner potentially if he gets his shoulder right. So there are other options there for the second spinner. So I think a lot will depend on can Agar hold up his end in the bargain with the stick, and if who's number 8, who's the first seamer that's going to bat at 8. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. I mean, Zampa's actually probably, I've been critical of Zampa in the past, and this is probably the first time where I'm really confident going in. Is it
because he has better hair than you?
Well, it's not hard, but yeah, that plays a part.
Does.
No, it doesn't. No, but he's bowling quite well at the moment. He's not bowling any loose balls. He's not really dragging them down. Obviously, Agar coming around the wicket as well with his I guess, angle creates a lot of opportunities as well. I mean, Agar's fielding's brilliant. Yeah. I mean, that catch he took the other night in the deep was just, he adds something. He adds a lot more.
Oh, he's a brilliant player, and Mate, we probably still haven't seen where he is. Is he a potential test player or is he a white ball specialist? We still don't know. It's what we forget too is he's still young. There's still so much.
Yeah, there is, and same with Ashton Turner. And I know Ben McDermott didn't have the best series there, or the best 3 or 4 games where he played. But these guys have all got a lot of cricket left in them.
Yeah.
And it's really good that we've actually gone down that T20 specialist path.
Yeah.
And these are guys that are going to grow within the team. So you're right. It's good to see some younger guys in there. And as I said, for me with the spinners, it's a good little combo for now. But when we come against some better sides, when it comes to the batting, well, I guess we'll find out.
Now, Steve Smith, what can you say? I mean, you've done some coaching. And textbook was never, stumbling across your wicket and, and making the unorthodox shots. But he's taken it to a new level. Now we don't have any footage, but there were overhead swats. What would you call that sort of thing he did like that?
It's almost like a baseball, isn't it? He gets in that position. It's like a baseball hit, isn't it?
You know what it's like? It's like me on a beach playing beach cricket, just trying to show off and do that. But he actually makes it work.
He actually hits the ball.
No, we use actual beach balls on the beach, mate. Not figurative ones. We're using beach balls. Wow. I mean, it's the evolution of T20 cricket. We're going to see more and more. Typical shots go out the door. And if you can get back to ball and your confidence going to clear the field, mate, go for it.
Exactly right. I mean, Iftikhar Ahmed, the Pakistani, is similar. Like, he was a bit more conventional, but it was just all forceful. It wasn't natural cricket shots. It was, I'm going to muscle this over cover, or I'm going to force this to the leg side. So, Steve Smith, he gets into that position where you think, in theory, he should be only be able to score, say, there and there, but all of a sudden he's hit one back past the bowler or through covers off the back foot to a full ball. It just, from a coaching perspective, as you touched on, you don't teach people that, because that is completely wrong. But his hand-eye is that good and his timing's that good that, well, he can make it work for him.
I know he spent a lot of time. He's sponsored, obviously, by New Balance, their head office, global head office over in Boston. I know he spent a bit of time wandering around the Red Sox. Maybe there's no fouls in cricket. Maybe he's just taken a bit of scope from there and seeing what he can do. Yeah, look, it makes for good watching, and that's the main thing.
Exactly right. And he's never gone in the sense of his ability, but geez, he's back, isn't he? I mean, what a winter he had over there in
You
England.
could almost think that the year off, and we don't want to revisit, very old news, but the year off has potentially added 2 or 3 years to the end of his career. I know it did with Shane Warne, when he, the diuretic tablet fiasco.
Yes.
Mate, it added time, and he became more of a legend as a result. So, time will tell, but has this helped Steve Smith? Hasn't helped Bancroft yet, and Warrnambool, the jury's still out. But this, I believe, it probably has helped Steve Smith.
Yeah, no, it's a good shout. I mean, obviously, look, Dave Warner started this summer really well, and hopefully he moves his form now from the white ball to the red ball. Yeah, we'll see.
Plenty more happening this week as we speak. The Australia A team are doing their, test selection tryout against Pakistan. It starts today. Another big game starting Friday, which we'll touch on a little later, is a CA11 team that's been picked for a 2-day game against Pakistan. This is a show to highlight the pathway players. So I want to talk about, and he's not a pathway player anymore. He's definitely a fixture in that WACA team. But I want to talk about Cam Green's performance.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously incredible considering they were 7 for 53.
They were done.
They were done and dusted, weren't they?
Queensland up there, they're strong. They're damn good up there.
Yeah, and it was a really strong side he played against. I mean, look, Cam Green's he's no surprise or no secret. He's been a really strong player through the pathway, contracted at 17.
It's just his body. It's just his body, mate.
Yeah, he's struggled to stay on the park, hasn't he? But, I mean, there's a lot of media hype around, is he the next all-rounder for Australia? Which I think is an unfortunate tag that every all-rounder is going to get as soon as they do anything. I mean, he had a great game. That's fine. Let's just settle down a bit.
That's part of media is to label somebody as soon as they do something good, and it gets people excited. I get that. And does it put pressure on? Well, look, I don't know Cam personally, and I don't know how he takes that. For me, you need to do a bit more to get that in that Australian conversation. But hey, it was a great thing, and I believe he's one of the youngest players to make a Shield 100 and also take a fifer.
Yeah, and look, I mean, batting at 9 as well, like that's great. I actually heard him in an interview the other day say he wants to stay there, which I was a bit disappointed with. I think, if you're batting at 9 and you just made an 87, not out in 121 and saved the game, surely you want to get up there as high as you can and I guess challenge. Admittedly, it's a hard lineup to get any higher in over at WA because it's such a strong lineup despite the poor result. But look, if you're going to be a test all-rounder, you've got to bat in the top 6.
Mate, let's talk a bit of Big Bash news. Who's Tanvir Sanger? What's he doing as a 17-year-old with the Sydney Thunder?
Yeah, obviously a super young talent.
Tell me about him.
Tanvir Singer, he's got about 30 variations apparently, so he's rivaling AJ Ty for claims on balls that he can do.
It's a big claim for a 17-year-old, 30 variations. Do any of them land and actually do anything, or is he
no, he's very talented. He hasn't burst onto the scene, I guess, yet, because we haven't seen a lot of him, but serious player, a lot of tremendous talent, played at Australian Under-19s as a 16-year-old, the clear number one spinner in the pathway at the moment. That's for sure. So I'm not too surprised that he's ended up with a contract here. He's been doing really well in Sydney grade cricket as well, taking a bunch of wickets for Campbelltown. He's going to be a very good player for a long time. So definitely one that we should keep an eye on this summer.
Couple of performances from, let me get this right, second 11 cricket.
That's right, we got
Not
there.
allowed to call it futures anymore, I've been informed. Futures cricket. One of our favourites, Jared Freeman, had a bit of a knock at 11.
Yeah, so tough conditions down in Tassie.
What's he doing at 11, mate?
Yeah.
He can bat.
Yeah, and it was a really long, you would say long tail. A lot of bowlers. I think Tommy Rogers came out at 7, maybe even 6.
He's had his time out.
And Guruna Sandy was ahead of him, a few other guys as well. So he was a bit surprised to see Froggy at 11 because he's quite a good little bat. Pathway cricket always batted 5, 6.
Nothing little about him.
No.
Enigma.
No.
Maxie Bryant.
Yeah, 97. Again, down in Tassie in really, really tough conditions. So. Look, we know what a talent is, especially with the white ball. It'd be good to see him in the red ball.
Oh, I agree. Get him in Queensland.
He's really following that, that David Warner path in a sense. But when you've got someone like Bryce Street, who we spoke about last week, ahead of him, I think that's probably fair enough.
Who incidentally put a lazy 100 together.
Yeah, he got 100 at Shield level, which is really good. So he's flying at the moment, Bryce Street.
One of my boys, being a redhead, Lloyd Pope.
You seem to want to bring Maxie Bryant too. He's a redhead, so you seem to bring up these redheads, don't you, every week?
We've got to stick together.
Yeah.
What did Popey do, mate?
Yeah.
He's a talent. Has he got it all together? We don't know yet. He's back playing futures or second 11 cricket.
Second 11, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yes.
What did he do, mate?
Yeah, 679 against the Vicks.
On the Vicks deck.
Yeah, and tore through them too. Like, absolutely changed that game. On a deck that probably wasn't doing a lot, especially with the old ball for the quick. Speaking of a few of the boys. A young fellow, Liam Scott, who's an exciting all-rounder. I was speaking to him, and he actually said that it was so tough to score out there. It was just boring cricket, but Popey was just the game changer there. Really good points from him. He's obviously a super talent and would be wanting to get back in that red-back side, but it's tough with the Zampa around, and even Tommy Andrews, who's going quite well too. No,
great. Look, an exciting one for Victorian cricket. They've decided to blood a kid, Jake Fraser McGurk, 17. We watched him at the Australian Under-19 National Championships last year down in Adelaide. He was playing for the CA11, putting him at 16. We actually caught him at a bit of a bad stage. He had a run of 5 ducks in a row, hadn't he? Four ducks in a row. But geez, he's turning around. Should they be blooding him? Is he good enough?
I mean, it's an interesting selection. He's come off 2 really good future scores, I think 130 odd and maybe an 80. Exciting batsman, goes after him from ball 1. He's also got some really good grade for him, so you can justify the selection that way, especially with a lot of the Vicks going up into that Test squad / CA, the Australia A game. So there's a lot missing, admittedly. The interesting selection I found here is Travis Dean didn't even get in the 12. He came out of the side, and they've brought in Jake Fraser McGurk and a couple of others too. Eamon Vines is in the side as well. So interesting, I guess, a bit of a crossroads moment for Travis Dean.
The Vicks are so strong, and I think even with the players they've got out, they might have already posted and said, "Hey, listen, we might lose this game, so let's blood a kid." That might be the.
I don't know if they'd be saying, "I think we've lost this game."
No, it might be one in the balance.
It's actually, and this game's actually at the G2, so pretty big occasion for Jake Fraser McGurk.
For the 30 people that are going to be there watching?
Yeah, well, I'll be one of those 30. Maybe. No, but look, as I said, he's a super talented kid, good in the field, bowls okay leggies as well. Look, I mean, it's probably a little bit rushed if you ask me. I don't think that, I think there's other players that probably deserve an opportunity. I'm a bit surprised they didn't stick with Travis Head. But look, great opportunity for him, and if he takes it, well, it could be a very long, successful career for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and youngest player since the Bear, Cam White, to debut for Victoria. So it is exciting times. We touched on it before. There is a CA11 team that's been picked. So a Cricket Australia 11 team that's been picked to play Pakistan at the end of this week. It's a 2-day game, yet another warm-up. But from these games, players have really, really put their name on the map from a national perspective. And we've got some names here that you will know and the names that you won't know. Jake Doran captaining the side. Good player. Been around for a while now, Jake Doran.
Yeah, he hasn't had the best start to the year, has he?
No, he hasn't. That's probably why they've tossed him a bone here and said, hey, mate,
Well, he's not even getting a game for Tassie, is he?
That's right, yeah. Maybe he's just sitting around doing not much. I don't know. But there is some exciting players. Probably the one I've got marked down is young Goodwin from WA. Son of Murray Goodwin, Zimbabwean international.
Yeah, in WA.
Yeah, WA player. Geez, this guy is this kid's special. He's a really special talent. The Wacker have very, very high hopes for him. He's still at school.
Yep.
Plenty to come. Couple other boys. Kid Brad Hope, he's contracted at Wacker, rookie contracted player, has been making runs for fun all season. Good to see him get the nod.
Yeah, good talent with both bat and ball.
Yep.
Really reliable, really consistent. It's the kind of, he made his Shield debut last year. He was very close in the opening rounds, but obviously, again, with Wacker being so strong, it's hard to break in. He's definitely one that's going to get an opportunity throughout the year. He's one to watch.
Once again, these boys are not in contention for the Australian side, but it is a good chance for them to really stick their hand up and go, hey, I'm a player for the future. Look, the other one probably Lloyd Pope's playing that game. Over in the West, he's probably not going to get to do much. The other one, and another one who probably won't get to do much, but they're playing him anyway, Tom O'Connell, South Australian kid, playing for Victoria.
Yep. So obviously moved here last year with the longer-term contract offer. Look, he's a good talent. He, again, hasn't started this year too well, so it's probably why you find him in this kind of game. Excited, can bat, can bowl, can field. It'll be tough with himself and Lloyd again with two leggies over in Perth. I find that a bit interesting. Obviously, Matty Spores bowls part-time leggies as well.
Yeah, Sporesy.
Jaden Goodwin bowls off. So there's a lot of spinners in this side, which I find interesting. You look at the quicks, you got Mitch Perry, David Grant, and Tim Oakley, and that's really it. I mean, John O'Merlo and Hopi will bowl a little bit, but that's a bit. And Daniel Drew, actually, uncontracted player, who's got the gig in this game from the Saka. Super talented player, was a rookie for a year, missed out this season, but he's been absolutely flying at futures level, so he gets an opportunity. No,
certainly exciting and a great opportunity for those guys to have a shot. Coming up next, our Young Gun Focus of the Week, our interview. We got it via a pre-recorded, but it's Nathan Ellis, the young New South Wales / Tasmanian who's making waves down there through Marsh Cup. He's coming up next. Well, our Young Gun Focus this week is young New South Welshman / Tasmanian Nathan Ellis. Nathan, welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
No, it's great, mate. I mean, it's what a whirlwind it's been this season, and it hasn't just been this season. And that's what the story we wanted to go through today. It hasn't just been this season. It's been a lot of toil and a lot of hard work to get you here, or for you to get yourself here, I should say. Mate, take us through. Where'd you start? Where was the start for you?
So for me, as you said, I'm from New South Wales. I grew up in the Sutherland Shire in southeast Sydney. I played all my junior cricket in the Shire at Illawong Kookaburras and played some junior reps at Sutherland. But heading into Green Shield and grade cricket, I moved to Randwick Petersham following a coach and a mentor of mine. Played 5 years at Randwick and made my first grade debut there with some great players and some great coaches along the way. From there, I moved to St George, played a couple of first grade seasons there, doing all right, sort of plugging away. I had a few good first grade seasons and sort of came to the point where I'd played some fringe games and some trial games. It wasn't looking like getting much of a look in. I didn't make any of the underage sides. I sort of made the first few cuts every year and was cut at the same time. Each trials period, but yeah, so I played a few good seasons and managed to get a few games like in the Sixers Academy and that sort of stuff, which was really, really good. But the opportunity arose for me to potentially move down to Tassie. Obviously, a massive decision to make as a young fella, but I'd just finished my uni degree, so it was sort of at the crunch time point where I was starting to feel the pressure to either get a proper job and start earning some cash or, knuckle down and try to give cricket a real red hot crack. So that's sort of how I came down to Tassie, yeah.
So you go down to Tassie. What happens next, mate? Like, obviously, you don't know anyone.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Well, it was was sort of probably the biggest thing about it all was I went to Tassie. I moved to Tassie with no real assurances. I didn't have a contract. I didn't have a job. I didn't have. At the time I didn't have a house. I had nothing really. But the only real thing I had, and it was sort of enough to get me down there, was if I was to do well and performances on the board, I'll get the opportunity. That was pretty much enough for me. So I sort of came down and. Living out of home for the first time, sort of learn a few life lessons in terms of, little things like making my bed, not having a dishwasher, mate. That is a nightmare. So stuff like that. But then, as on top of that was paying rent, and all the little expenses like car regos and things that you don't really think about as much when you're living at home. They're the things that sort of were the hurdles that I first sort of came across that I didn't really think about. So I was getting work wherever I could. I started working as a landscaper, but the guy I was working with wanted me to work Saturdays, and that didn't really work out. And then I was in construction, put the hard hat on up in the high-rise buildings in Hobart. And, that was just ruining me for Saturdays and training and stuff.
That would have suited the big smile you've got, mate.
Yeah. So I was, they ate me alive up there.
So 3 years of toil, mate. 3 years been down in Tassie.
Yep. So this is my third season down in Tassie. So came down in the middle of the winter when I first came down too. That was also a pretty rude shock.
Now, Griffo, it's well known that he likes him pretty tall and running in and doing that. How'd you take his eye, mate? How'd you impress him? Do you think?
It was sort of. It's not just Griffo. I think. I think in the stereotypical fast bowler is a 6'4", 6'5", tall, lean man that runs in and he gets a bit of bounce and swing the ball, and that's something I've sort of had to deal with since I've started playing. Really.
Yep.
So for me, it was sort of just something it's not easy to do, but it's easy to think about, and it's an easy goal. It's just to take wickets.
Yep.
So that was sort of my goal at the time, and whether it was 50 wickets a season or 40 wickets a season, or 30, I just wanted to do enough to get noticed and sort of have to bang down that door. So being, as I said, being the sort of height I am and the stereotypical, not meeting the stereotypical fast bowler, it was just that. It was just putting performances on the board until either the coaches notice you or other players notice you. Just keep banging
on that note, from a club level, some pretty impressive figures last weekend, mate. Might have had a 9 in front of it.
Yeah, it was a pretty good toss to win, I have to say. But,
no, we won't mention that, mate. It was a road.
Yeah, exactly right.
What was it? 9 for
31.
Yeah, 9 for 31.
Yeah, 9 for 30.
9 for 30. Oh, sorry, mate.
I mean, that's coming off a series of impressive performances from Marsh Cup, and to get that first call up, mate, would have been a really great tick, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It was sort of. It all happened really, really fast for me. I sort of came back and was in the middle of pre-season, and there was a few trips and that sort of stuff, and I didn't feel as if I was that close at the time. I felt like I was bowling really, really well, but I didn't feel like I was going to get that first crack at it. And then after a few good net sessions, and I sort of started to get an inkling that I might be close. I was getting put in certain nets and that sort of stuff, and once I got to a Griff sort of pulled me aside and said, "You're coming to Perth," and I did not expect it at all. I was still working as much as I could at this time. I was in the middle of pre-season. I was working 3 days a week and sort of making up the sessions and doing all that sort of stuff. So I had to call work and say, "I'm not coming in for a little while." So I went from getting up early and teaching kids at school and trying to juggle that all to flying over to Perth to make my debut, which is unreal.
Now, let's fast forward, mate. The Tassie boys are playing a huge game against the Vics, streaking ahead. The call comes out. Let's chase the bonus point. It's probably a bit raw still, but what happened?
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Zach, a little fella, what was
it was 5 for 4, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. I honestly haven't looked back at the scorecard or anything like that.
Enough. And you were the last wicket too.
Yeah, burying my head in the sand with all that.
Now, having spoken to a number of the Wacker boys who happened to be watching it on TV, they said you were the most hard done by one. The umpire got lost in the moment, and you shouldn't have been out.
Yeah, well, it's oh mate. Honestly, I felt at the time I did feel like it was high and missing leg. And there was no flying leg too, so I was coming back for a second, and that ties the game. But as you can tell, I'm over it already. So.
One of the more memorable ones, mate. You go on, you put that behind you, you go back, you play at Drummoyne, which is usually a batsman's paradise. All the big dogs are playing for New South Wales. All these blokes you know are playing for New South Wales, and blokes we look up to from an Australian standpoint. Mate, you take 5, you rip the guts out of it.
Yeah, well, that's pretty daunting thing. It was at North Sydney, but yeah, pretty daunting ground to play at in terms of white ball cricket.
Yeah,
it's well known for having the small boundaries and a pretty good batting surface. So it was one of those things that you sort of see their team named and you see where it's at. Because originally it was at the SCG and we got moved to North Sydney, so it sort of was a recipe for a 10, 12 and over a day. But it was one of those things. We sort of had nothing to lose in a way. Like, they were such a great side, and everyone was talking about how great their side was. So it was almost one of those things. We flew in under the radar. We knew if take a few early wickets and try and restrict as much as we can, we could sort of try and chase anything we could. I
think Sean Abbott took 10 off you in 2 balls. If you had taken that away, your figures would have looked even more impressive, mate.
He ruined it for me.
He did ruin it.
To be fair, the 6 would have been caught in any other ground in Australia, so that's what I said. I'm like, geez, that'd be out. But, must have been a pretty good feeling, I guess, especially against your home state, so to speak, that overlooked you for so many years.
Yeah, it was sort of like, it all happened so fast. Thinking back on it now, it sort of doesn't even feel like it happened. Like, it was such a whirlwind of a day. I had, family and friends popping in throughout the day. My old man was there. He got there for ball 1, and North Sydney is notorious for having shocking parking, so he was in a 1-hour park for 6 hours.
Was it worth the parking ticket?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it was a great feeling at the end of the day. And, look back on that.
Mate, you've still got a pretty big fan, a New South Wales contracted player in Trent Copeland. He's a bit of a fan of yours.
Mate, yeah, I played with him at St George, and he was one of the main reasons I sort of went to St George, and yeah, he's been unreal for me. Like, since I moved there, it was sort of funny. He coached me when I was at Ramick as a 15 or 16-year-old.
Oh, wow.
He coached me he was a bowling coach that would come sporadically throughout the season, and sort of ended up playing against him and then playing with him, and yeah, he's played a big role in my career.
He's definitely not quiet about singing your praises, mate. That's for sure. It's good to see. Mate, thanks for coming on today. Really good to hear a little bit of insight. As I said, you're flying on the radar. I mean, whether you go on to Big Bash, we'll wait and see. It'd be really exciting if you do get that opportunity. I'd like to think you're going to get that chance somewhere along the line. On that Big Bash note, mate, who do you think is the player to watch for BBL 9 coming up?
It's sort of a hard one to think about. You look at some of the lists going around at the moment, and they're all filling up. There's so much talent going around. So it's going to be a pretty big tournament, I reckon. But my Lindisfarne teammate, I think you can't go past. He's the new lean, mean version of himself, Jared Freeman. Right arm off centre. He's been training the house down this pre-season on Foggy,
and catching them pretty well.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, exactly. He catches it, full length dives to the right. You actually don't see in the video, he drops it and then catches it on the way down.
Oh,
does he?
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Jeez, I don't reckon you like you saying that.
And for people watching, if you ever get a chance to look at this guy's hands, he has the biggest mitts rolling around in Australian cricket. You do not get bigger hands. The biggest. Well, that's exciting, mate. Froggy is a favourite of ours. We're really excited to see how he rolls. And, mate, more excited for you. You've had a fantastic start to the year or to the season, mate. Just keep it rolling. We hope to see you out there a bit more often.
Legends. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Nate. Cheers,
Nate.
mate. That was really interesting hearing Nate's story. We've known Nate for a long time and been a bit of a fan of what he's doing and really wondered why he hasn't had that opportunity. But, gee, it's great. And Matt, I really hope the Hurricanes, if they've got any contract spots left, toss him a bone and just say, mate, come on. If we don't see him this season from a Big Bash perspective, I reckon we're going to see him next season and him become a real fixture in both short form cricket and Big Bash. And as we heard, he's got aspirations to to be a red ball cricketer one day. So maybe he comes that alternate route, which is becoming more and more popular.
Yeah, and he's such a good person too. You have that
I
conversation
look at
with
the
him,
smile
and
on
you
his
just,
face,
yeah.
mate. He just exudes.
Oh, it's unreal, isn't it? He's a good person. It's a great story, and he deserves everything he's got so far. And hopefully more to come from Nathan.
That's it. Keep watching him. He's going to be a star of the future. What am I going to be watching this week? There's plenty on. It's a really important round of Shield cricket this week. All the big dogs, as I like to call them, they've floated back into the Shield teams. Yet all the rung below have gone in to play the Australia A game. So it's going to be interesting. A lot of decisions up.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
me, I think the team's pre-selected, but I'm going to be watching the Australia A game with a lot of interest. It's played on a WA deck. Traditionally, it's not an easy one to walk over there and make runs on.
Yeah, I mean, you say the side's picked, but for me, there's two clear spots that are up for grabs in that top 7 or top 6, really.
Yep.
I mean, Wade's going to bat at 6, and Steve Smith's going to bat at 4, but who bats at 5? Marnus will bat 3, and then who's the other opener?
I think they're going to go with Harris, and I think they'll go with help me out here.
You said Bukowski last week.
Bukowski, yeah. I think they'll go with Harris at 2 though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And they should throw Pucker Bone. Mate, here's what we're excited about. Who's getting bounced this week? Who's getting the blowtorch?
Well, this one, I guess it's a long-term one. It's been a long time coming, and not having no shows over winter made this hard. But Ben McDermott highlighted this for me. His ability to review in these T20s has been really poor. I mean, the one he reviewed, admittedly there was no ball tracking. I understand that, but he was not out. He was given out. And the one he was not out on, he didn't review the week before. So if you go back to our winter in the Ashes, we were successful 6 out of 32 times from our reviews. We are awful. We are so bad at reviewing.
So who's getting the whack, mate? You've given a young player a whack on a couple of poor reviews, but for me, I reckon you've got to be giving our test captain a bit of a...
It is. It's going to Tim Payne. Yeah. Tim Payne, not good enough. Get it sorted this week.
This is an old whack, but and it still hurts. I think going back to the going back to the Test cricket, going back to the Ashes, it still hurts. Was it the third or fourth Test?
We're at Headingley with Ben Stokes. I mean, I remember you ringing me going, mate, this is ridiculous. We've shot ourselves in the hoodie here.
Very, what the hell?
When Gaz. When Gaz, you notice they got rid of the stumps this week. I can't even whack the stumps because they've got rid of the stumps because I bloody.
One of the camera guys got injured last week, so we're lucky to be back on. All right, good whack, mate. Good blowtorch. Good torch.
Sorted out, Tim Payne.
Yeah.
And Ben McDermott.
That's it for our show this week. We're going to be talking all things Test cricket next week with the next show, with the first Test between Pakistan and Australia kicks off. We're going to be doing a bit of a minor preview on the Australia Under-19 National Champs. Being held in Perth this year. It's where the guys get contracts from. Very exciting. We get over there for a couple of weeks, don't we? It's good it's in Perth. A bit of beach involved. Involved there, mate. So we're going to be doing a bit of a review there, talking all things Test cricket. A final thought. What am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to Riley Meredith. Not just the Shane Warne raps on him, but he's got some legitimate speed. When he gets it right, geez, he's a scary proposition. I hope that he gets it right early. I don't think he's going to play Test cricket, but just yet. But I hope he gets it right now.
It's a shame we don't have as many one days as there. If we had a few more one days, you might sneak him in there for a game or two.
Just to see how he handles it. But Riley, I'm watching you, mate. So it'd be exciting to see you go, mate. What are you going to be watching this weekend?
Well, I think the Test selection is going to be brilliant. As I said, I think there's at least 2 spots up for grabs. Maybe the bowl, obviously the 4 quicks. Who out of the 4 quicks plays? It's going to be controversial. Everyone's going to have a say on this, so I'm really interested to see who opens the batting and who bats in that middle order.
It's the most exciting aspect of summer is the debate over who should be in the Test team. And it ramps up. If we lose the first Test, which I don't know how it would happen, but if we lose the first Test, it really ramps up. And we start pointing fingers and we start being experts. So plenty of exciting cricket talk and chat to come. Thank you for joining me this week, little fella.
No worries, big fella.